axis. So you see we don't have any triangles anymore, but rather we have angles that are located on the x-axis, and then the end of the angle is on another side. So I want you to think of, if I had the x-axis, like think of a door being closed, okay? And then the door being opened, okay? So the door is swinging open, and so we call these angles of rotation. So the angle starts on the x-axis, and it's like the angle is opening up and rotating around. Now, we're going to talk about how it can rotate around past 360 if we want, okay? You could also think of it like if you had hands on a clock, okay? The angles are rotating in a circular manner, so not in a triangle anymore. So where the angle starts, we call the initial side, and typically what we're going to deal with, the initial side is always going to be along the x-axis. So do you see how that little arrow there, that's the one side of your angle? And then as the angle opens, when it's going this direction, okay, by the way, is that clockwise or counterclockwise? Good. Counterclockwise, that would be what we call a positive angle measure, okay? And so then that angle opens up and then it ends somewhere. And so the initial side is just where the angle begins the rotation. And in standard position, this is going to be along the x-axis. And the terminal side is then the ray, or where the angle ends the rotation. And that is going to be somewhere in the circular manner. So either between 0 and 360, or we'll talk about a little bit more how you can go past 360. So this is my initial side and then my terminal side. Okay. So as I said before, if the angle is going this way, we measure this in positive degrees. If we would like to go the other direction, so let's say the angle starts here and I start rotating down in the clockwise, that's what we would call the negative direction. Okay, so if you see a negative angle measure today, it is simply what way the rotation is happening. Okay. So, how many degrees all the way around? 360, good, okay. So here's the deal then. What happens is if I have an angle here, and let's say I rotate it a positive degree measure, let's just for the heck of it say, let's say I rotated it all the way to here, that's 180. Couldn't I still get to this same spot by rotating it negative 180? Agreed? So when we have these angles, there are multiple ways that we can express the same angle. These are called coterminal angles, okay? So all a coterminal angle is it is an angle with the same initial side and the same terminal side. Okay. When we're dealing with coterminal angles, then here are two ways that you can find them. You can either add 360 degrees, because you told me 360 is a full rotation, okay? So if I rotate 30 and I add 360 to that, I would end up in the same spot. Or if you wanted to get a negative value, you could subtract 360. Okay. Let's see how we do with this. So the very first thing I want to do, practice, is drawing these angles with the initial side and terminal side, and you have to have some knowledge of degrees. We are all familiar with what a 90-degree angle is. Okay. So what I want us to do is we're going to draw underneath example 1, we're going to draw an XY axis. Uh-oh. And what we're going to need to understand is, and I'll do this with a different color, we're going to have the terminal or the initial side come out like we talked about. So the vertex of the angle is the origin, and then the initial side is along that x-axis. Okay. So I'm going to show you how we do different angles. If I would rotate 90, watch my hand, wouldn't it be up here? And then if I would rotate 180, so 90, just following my pencil, now the angle would open up to right here. If I would rotate 180, it would be right here. All the way down here is how many? 270. Okay, so where does 215 gonna lie? It's gonna lie somewhere here in quadrant 3. Okay. Now, if we want to be the most exact without a protractor, I think we can eyeball it. Let's figure out how far is 215 past 180. 215 minus 180. 35 degrees. Do you believe me? You can do the math yourself. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to make the terminal side go 35 degrees past that 180 mark. All right, so I don't know. 35 degrees maybe looks like this. Okay. And then what I like to do is I like to actually put the rotation in there. So this is my starting. It goes around this way. And how far did we go? 215 degrees. All right. Does this make sense? No. We'll do another one. And if we need to do more than that, we'll do more than that. Okay, now I think we all would agree, and I'll get to this in a second. What if I started at my initial side and I went negative? Isn't it also possible to get to that same spot? It would look differently, but for right now, we're just going to draw our 215. Okay, let's do example 2. And if you feel like maybe we'll draw A and B as well, so you get used to it. Same thing, we're going to draw an XY axis. On your paper today, there an XY axis is already drawn for you. Okay, we're going to put our initial side on there. So we have our vertex at the origin, and we go straight out to the right. That's our initial side. Okay, this time I want to go negative 40 degrees. Give me a point to what direction I'm going. Okay, I'm going to go start not going counterclockwise, but I'm going to go down and go this direction. Okay, and I think we all can eyeball 40. 45 would be halfway between, so we're going to go slightly less than that. So we're going to make our terminal side right here. And I like to do the arrow. I draw the direction, so we went that way. And how far did we go? We went negative 40 degrees. Okay. Let's do example 3. What we're going to do is, even though I didn't say to draw it, let's practice drawing it, because I think maybe we need more work with that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to together we're going to find an angle with a positive measure and an angle with a negative measure that is coterminal. A lot of vocab there. All that means is we're going to find another degree that makes me end up into the same terminal side. All right, so first let's start with our 130. So we have our XY axis. Okay, and then we put our initial side on there. 130 is positive, so I am going to be rotating in the counterclockwise manner. And I hope we would agree, what quadrant is 130 in? You can just show me with figure 2. It's between 90 and 180. How far past 90 is it? $40 degrees. Okay, so let's try to make our terminal side look like it goes 40 degrees past that 90 mark. So maybe right here. So if I start here and here, that's where the 130 comes from. Okay. All right, so just kind of put your pen or pencil down a second and watch. I'm going to take my pencil here. I'm going to pretend to rotate this angle again. So if I started here and now I end here, if I wanted to get to that same spot, what I could do is take that terminal side and I could rotate it. Here it goes. Around, past the initial side there, right? What did I just do? I rotated it how many more degrees? What's one rotation? 360. So I want to know what's another positive measure that would end here. Well, one of them would be just 130 plus 360. What is 130 plus 360? Okay. So 490 and 130 are coterminal. They would look the same on a graph, but they have different angle measures. Okay, let's do, remember, all I did was I added 360 to get to the same spot. All right. How about if I subtract 360 from 130? So let's do 130 and then I subtract 360. What do I get? Negative 220, and I'm going to just draw with my pencil, okay? Negative 220, the negative, well, 30. You said 30. What? No, it isn't 220. It's 230, right? Oh, yeah. It's okay. You're good. You're good. I just wrote 220 because I thought I heard 220, but then I looked and I was like, it's got to be 230. All right, so 230 is past 180, but in the negative direction. Let's just confirm. Okay, if I went negative 230, here I'm going down. I'm at negative 90 right now. Now I'm at negative 180, and if I kept going, negative 230 would just be in that direction. So once again, these are the same starting and ending points, but just another way to get there. Okay, let's try one last one. So we're going to first draw our negative 200. If you're feeling pretty confident about this, go ahead and draw the angle. Okay, let's think here. 200 is 20 degrees beyond 180, right? So I'm going to go in the negative direction, so I'm going to go down this way. Here, right now I'm at negative 180, and I would want to go 20 degrees past there. And there's a negative 200 degrees. So to get my coterminal angles for this, I would do negative 200 degrees because I'm at this spot now. And if I added 360 to that, it would rotate and get back to that same spot. So one that has a positive measure then is 160 degrees. Okay, and just think about that. Isn't 160 degrees just 100? Think of 180 minus 20, and hopefully you can see, oh yeah, it's 20 degrees shy or before I get to the 180 mark. All right, for our other one, negative 200 minus 360, or think of it as negative 200 plus a negative 360. So one of them is 160, and the other one would be negative 560 degrees. Okay. Okay, so all we're doing today